Alrighty, in this video we're going to be factorizing a cubic polynomial. We have a cubic, which means I should get 3 factors by the end of it. Sometimes unique, sometimes not, but we'll see what it looks like. In order to factorize this, given a certain factor, I just apply polynomial division and then I factorize a quadratic equation later. So I'm going to set up my polynomial division now. I'm going to start with my factor, x plus 2, and that is going to divide through my polynomial 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 23x minus 10, and extend this guy a little bit. And now I ask myself a question. I say, what do I multiply x by to get 2x cubed? The answer is 2x squared, so I'm going to pop that up here. Another way to think about it, if you'd like, is 2x cubed divided by x. If you prefer that logic, ask yourself that question. I usually prefer x times what is that. Just helps me. Once I've identified that term, I'm going to take this term and multiply both of these guys here. So I'm going to multiply 2x squared by x, and I get 2x cubed. And I get 2x squared times 2, which is 4x squared. And I'm going to subtract that in order to find a remainder. So I'm going to draw my subtraction line here, and 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is 0. So those x cubed terms cancel out basically. And I have minus 5x squared minus 4x squared. So I'm taking away 4 from minus 5 to get to minus 9x squared and minus 23x minus 10. These terms, we're not subtracting anything from them, so they just come down with the rest. Alrighty, and that essentially is all this polynomial division is. We just need to reapply that exact same thing. So I'm going to ask myself again, what do I multiply x by in order to get minus 9x squared? Well, straight away I can see that it's minus 9, and I have an x squared term here, so I need to multiply by another x. So I'm going to get minus 9x. Okay, and the same process as earlier, I'm going to take my minus 9x. Be careful that this negative belongs to the 9x. So I'm going to take the minus 9x and multiply both of these. So I get minus 9x times x is minus 9x squared. And as you can see, when I multiply these terms out, that front term, they're always going to cancel, which is why this thing starts as a cubic, reduces to a quadratic, which will reduce down here to a linear term. But we'll see that when it happens. And we also have minus 9x times 2, which is minus 18x. We're going to do a subtraction now. Switch to blue. And I say minus 9x squared minus 9x squared. So it's really minus 9x squared plus 9x squared, which is nothing. And I have minus 23x minus 18x. So that's minus 23x plus 18x, which is minus 5x. And again, the 10 or the negative 10 just follows through. I should be able to do this in one more step. So now I'm going to ask myself, what do I multiply x by to get minus 5x? The answer is minus 5. And I'm going to multiply back through. So minus 5 times x is minus 5x. And minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. And now when we do our subtraction, we don't even really need to think. All we notice is that we're subtracting something from itself, which should leave us with a remainder of 0, which is great. And it means that when I multiply x plus 2 with 2x squared minus 9x minus 5, when I multiply these two things together, I get exactly this cubic polynomial. So first step complete. Step 1, I suppose. Step 2 now is, in order to fully factorize this guy, I need to figure out what factor is going to this quadratic equation. So I'm going to do that over here, and hopefully in the middle here I'll have enough space to write my final factorized version of this. In fact, I'm going to set it up now, grab my yellow pen for my solution. I'm going to have f of x is going to equal x plus 2 multiplied by two more factors. I don't know what they are yet, but when I do know, I'll write them in. So I'm going to leave this here. If you need to look at this solution, how I came up with 2x squared minus 9x minus 5, just rewind the video. But I'm going to quickly do a bit of editing magic now and just get rid of this so I've got some room to work. Alrighty, so I've cleared the space here, and this was step one. Step one, I suppose, is doing the polynomial division in order to identify this quadratic equation. And now I'm going to, in step two, factorize this quadratic equation. So in order to factorize this, I need to multiply a times c together, which is the x squared term and the constant term at the end. So I'm going to get 2 times minus 5. So I'm going to write here AC equals 2 times minus 5 is minus 10. And now what I need is two factors of 10 that add to minus 9. But I've got to keep in mind that my 10 is negative. And so in order to multiply two numbers and get a negative, I'm going to need to have one be positive and one be negative. So I think looking at this, I'm going to have factors of minus 10 and 1, because minus 10 plus 1 is minus 9. So I'm going to rewrite this quadratic equation now as 2x squared plus x minus 10x minus 5. I put it in that order because I want the 10 and the 5 to be together. It's very likely that they've got a factor between them. I suppose I'm getting a bit too much into it. Point is, I've separated the minus 9x into x minus 10x. I think it's fair to say that x minus 10x is minus 9x. So this is the exact same quadratic, but now we can separate this quadratic equation into, well, we're just going to factorize by grouping essentially. So I'm going to factorize a term out of this first term, and that the only common factor there is x. So I'm going to say this is equal to x outside of x times what is 2x squared? X times 2x is 2x squared, and x times what is x? Well, that's just 1. And if I'm factorizing by grouping, I know I need this bracket again at the end. So I'm going to straight away put that in. And for me, the easiest way to figure this out now is say 1 times what is minus 5? Well, the answer is minus 5. And we can see now, even though that's a super wobbly 5, we can see that minus 5 times 2x is minus 10x, and minus 5 times 1 is minus 5. So this is going to factorize nicely now, and I have a common fraction. I have a common bracket, and so that's going to be one of my factors, and my other factor is going to be the bits outside the bracket. So x minus 5 and 2x plus 1. Alrighty, so I've done polynomial division in order to determine a quadratic factor, and then I've factorized the quadratic in order to find two other factors. And now I can finally write my cubic polynomial with its three factors, so factorized fully, of x plus 2 times x minus 5 times 2x plus 1. And hopefully we can see that if we re-expanded this, we'd get this cubic polynomial. And this is useful because now it's much easier for us to graph this thing. We can very easily figure out some x-intercepts, such as if we need to make this all equal 0, we can let x equal minus 2, x equal positive 5, and in this one, we're going to have to let x equal negative a half. In another video on the null factor law, I can discuss how you can find out those things. I might pop a graph up here from Desmos so that you can see the x-intercepts of this cubic polynomial are minus 2, positive 5, and minus a half. And hopefully that polynomial division plus some quadratic factorization helps you in order to factorize some cubic polynomials for yourself.